So I wanted this video to be a follow-up from my last video about my pedal board, or what I call the perfect pedal board setup. Because, surprise, surprise, I wasn't finished yet. And like I said in the video, you might never be finished, because really perfect pedal boards is kind of elusive thing that we're all chasing that may or may not exist. So if you haven't seen my previous video on the perfect pedal board setup, check it out. I'll put a card up here so you can click on that and check that out later. But I wanted to talk about today how to make your pedal board work better for you. Like, how can it be smarter? How can it be designed slightly more efficiently so that it is truly a tool in itself that can help you when you perform? You know, when you're playing at home, when you're playing in your bedroom, you don't really have to think so much about these things, because you can stop. You know, you can twist some knobs, you can dial in some tones, then you can play the part or whatever. You know, there's less pressure to do things in time in a musical way. But if there's one thing that I've learned about playing out and playing gigs in a band, is you kind of have to have your pedal board almost practiced as good as your instrument. You know, when you're switching into different sections or you're about to go into a solo, like I'm having to think, okay, I need to click this pedal, I need to engage this, and then I'm going to switch a pickup, and you kind of have to plot out like how you're going to do all that. So that got me thinking, like, how can I make my pedal board not only a little bit more effective in making changes on the fly or like in a real musical application, but also like, how can I also make it cleaner? Can I organize it a little bit better? Can I get it a little bit more efficient in terms of space? So these are just some things that I obsess about. And if you're like me and you obsess about these things too, I think you'll appreciate this video. Okay, so once again, here is the board. So if you compare it to the previous video, pretty much the same pedals are on there, but just maybe with one or two tweaks. And they might be obvious to you, but I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about why I did what I did. So the first thing that I did is I got new patch cables. So I don't know if you're like me, but I've been using the same patch cables for a long time, probably like 20 years. And they just kind of like hang out in like my bags and, you know, find their way on the pedal board. And if I need another one, I'll dig one out. And, you know, they're all kinds of different colors. They're all kinds of different brands and whatever. And that's fine. And like, you know, it doesn't really bother me too much. But none of them are, they're all a little bit clunky. And so I wanted some pedal board cables that were a little bit more low profile, had the smaller kind of jacks on them, so that I could get everything organized a little bit more neatly. And so it's also just a bonus that they're all black and they look the same. I got the Ernie Ball pack. I think it's like a variety pack, and it has like 8 to 10-ish different sizes in it. And so that worked perfectly for me. So if you are looking for a solution, that's a great one that I have found. Next, on top of that, is I got a baby wah pedal. I don't know if you can see it. This Crybaby Mini is what it's called. It was really just a space-saving solution for me. So I got this small one because it fits the same footprint as a pedal. And I'm not a huge wah player. Like, I do use it for certain songs. So, you know, it's not getting a ton of use. So this works fine for me, and I'm comfortable with that. And that's a good that was a good solution for me, and it's also easier to mount. So if you saw my previous video, you saw my pedal, my my wah pedal fall off the pedal board. Okay, another really cool thing that I've started to do is pedal train. If you have a pedal train, makes these little risers in here, and the risers basically make it where if there are pedals, excuse me, pedals on the back row that are hard to step on, it lifts them up just a little bit. And so I found that the Boss pedals are hard to step on because of their switch mechanism. So I have these slightly elevated like this. And so at least for the DD8, it makes it a lot easier for me to do the tap tempo. And so I do use the DD8 for that. So that is huge. And that is, you know, a real kind of small way to make something much more convenient. So those are great. I think, I'm not sure, maybe they're called like Pedalboard risers, but Pedal Train makes them. So that's worth checking out. And I think the last real major change that I have on the board is this Strymon mini switch. So this switch, I think, works with pretty much every Strymon pedal. And I guess it can do different things. It might be able to do a tap tempo and that kind of stuff. But for me, I have it set up as a favorite switch for the Deco. So in that last video, I talked about how the Deco for me is kind of a Swiss Army pedal. I use it for modulation like chorus and flanger, but then I also use it as kind of like a, you could call it a slapback kind of delay, but like a real short one repeat. And really the goal for that is just to kind of fatten up a solo sound. That's what I used in the video clip earlier, the sample that I played, just to kind of thicken up a solo, you know. And then I also use that in, also use it with the boost here, which has a little bit of tape saturation on it to give it a little bit of grit, and then obviously some more level. And so the cool thing for me is I know that I want to use that throughout the set for solos. And so now I can just tap on the mini switch whenever I need that setting and recall it, no matter what I've already been doing on the Deco. So that way I can have flangers and choruses and all that kind of stuff dialed in on the pedal itself, but I can recall that solo setting anytime I want to because of this switch. I think it's also really cool to like find a good layout for your board, you know, that honestly that looks good. I think all of us enjoy that, but also that kind of just makes sense to you. So it's like, you know, for me down on the bottom are all my kind of gain stages, and then thankfully I was able to put these two foot switches on top of each other. So the red one boosts into the Morning Glory and gives that a different gain stage, which is really cool. And then the Strymon one obviously is for the Deco. And so those are kind of like, you know, my little solo boost section, the Klon and those two guys. And then here I have kind of other drives that I will use for different songs. And all of it kind of goes into the Lightspeed because I use the Lightspeed for a kind of a driven amp feel. So I'm real happy with the way that it's set up now because it makes sense to me as much as it looks good. But anyways, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of update you on the board situation because I was real adamant about it not changing, but hey, look at there. We changed and it is for the better now. And that's something that I enjoy is I enjoy kind of always trying to optimize my setup to make it better, to make it more efficient, to make it more musical, all those things. But I also wanted to share this with you because I wanted it to hopefully inspire you to think about ways that you can make your gear work better for you. Can it be set up better? Are there little improvements like these little platforms to the board that, you know, are small but make a huge difference in terms of convenience? Or the mini switch, like, are there things like this you can do that would help you dial in a sound more quickly on the fly? But really now I want to open it up to you guys. In the comments below, I'd love to know kind of some ways that you have optimized your gear, ways that you've made your pedal board work better for you, little tips and tricks you've used out gigging that might help other players not have to deal with pedal dancing too much. But let me know. That's the cool thing about the guitar community is we can help and support each other, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.